Hey everyone, welcome back to Studyzing. In case you're new to the channel, I'm a music student going to the 12th grade, and here you'll find content mostly related with studies and also about journaling. For today's video, I decided to do like as if it was Draw My Life, but just about being a music student. I came up with this idea because I did some stories for a studygram of a friend of mine, which is Ocupadas a Estudar, talking about being a music student, and decided to do a video here on my own channel also talking about that part, but even in a more detailed way. And other than that, I also think it's very important to inform people about this, because lots of people think that music it's only a hobby and that you can't make money with it, that you can't live only with music, and I want to prove them wrong, because believe me, they are. And in order to start talking about this, I think it is quite important to show you and to talk with you about my journey in music, which started at 13 years ago. When I was 4 years old, I joined the conservatory and started learning the guitar. Some people might consider this quite early, but actually music is really good for children's brain and for their development. So yeah, I think it was a great age to start at music. And I played the guitar until my 9th grade, when I was 15 years old. And then I started to think, what course would I do on high school, because here in Portugal we have courses during high school. And obviously, after thinking a lot about it, I chose music, but instead of guitar I went for lyric singing. So in July I applied to a music school that my boyfriend introduced me to, and I got in and I was super happy. So in September of 2018 my 10th grade in music started, and as the dates came closer I was just I was full of anxiety, because I was going to a new school, and it was not only a new school, I was going to a completely different city, and I was going to live alone. I'm living alone since I was 15, so yeah, I was a little scared, a little anxious, but it was like an explosion inside me, an explosion of feelings. It was all mixed up. But the first day I got on that school, why did I write school in Portuguese here? I have no idea, I'm sorry. But yeah, the first day I got into that school, it was just an amazing environment. There were people with the most different styles, and on one corner there were people dancing, on the other people rehearsing their scripts for theater pieces, and then people studying their instruments. Oh my god, it was so amazing. It felt like I was living inside a movie or a series, almost like a high school of real life. And until today, I'm going to my last year on that school, and it is like a dream to me. It just feels like an actual dream. So first of all, I want to tell you about the several courses that are in my school. The first 3 of them are related to music, which are the Strings and Keys course, Strings and Keys Instrumentists, that is my course. Then we have the Wind and Percussion, and finally the Jazz. And the first 2 that I mentioned are more related and more known for playing the more classical music, and then jazz is more like jazz, blues, rock, things like that. Other than music, we have also theater and dance and music productions, which are like the DJs and more connected to the electronical part of music. And finally, in the last year, 2019-2020, the sports course joined the school, and it has tons of students. Now I will tell you about my own course and the subjects that we have. And I decided to divide this by groups, so it is easier for you to understand it. And first of all, we have like the scientific and humanistics subjects that are Portuguese, that I believe all the courses here in Portugal have Portuguese. Then we have English, and finally history and culture of arts. Then there is this one subject that all professional courses have, which is integration area. And in this subject, we talk about several things like politics, entrepreneuring, really lots of things that I believe that just get us ready for the real world. Oh my god. Then we have PE, and for the specific subjects we have music history, and then analysis and sounds physics, which is more the theoretical part of music. And then for the practical ones we have instrument, which in my case is singing, then choir, orchestra, ensemble, and NIPE, that I really don't know how to translate. And because I'm a singer, I also have piano, Italian and German that are super important for us to be able to sing our pieces. Between choir, orchestra and ensemble, the contents are really different, and the way to teach them is also quite different from one another. And finally, we have, it's so hard to translate this, communication and information technologies, and finally, training in work context, which is basically it's just training, basically. And now I will talk to you about the technical level of my course, because I know there are some people who want to go to music but are quite afraid to don't understand anything. But as I am in a professional school, on the 10th grade there are two kinds of people, at least on the extremes, which are people that already have the basics and solid basis for that course, which was my case. But we also have lots and lots of students who had never studied music in their lives. But it is okay, because on the 10th grade we start learning everything from the most basics of everything, which is also good for the ones who already knew, because it's always good to review everything. I said everything lots of times, didn't I? I'm sorry. And this leads us to the next topic that I want to talk to you about, which is the requirements when you're studying music. So first of all, for the theoretical subjects, it is really important to just reviewing everything that you learn, like on a daily basis, or at least on a weekly basis, because at a certain point the subjects and everything that you learn will start coming really quickly, and you won't have time to review or to revise anything. So yeah, it is really important. And one way to really know what you're learning is to do lots of exercises and to take part and participate during classes, because this way the teacher will also be able to understand whether you're knowing what you're talking about or not, and will be able to help you a lot more. And then for the practical subjects, mainly instrument, it is really crucial that you have a daily study. And it doesn't have to be 2 hours per day, but it's better to do 40 minutes of really focused, very calm study, because studying music requires you to be really precise and accurate, and to repeat what you're doing lots of times so that you know if you're doing it correctly or not. And I think one of the most important things to learn from the beginning is the basics of your technique, and to be always in tune. Right now I will tell you about relationships and competition that is built in music world. So there is obviously not all good and not all bad, because since I got into my school, I've always been available to help people who had more difficulties. So I think there is a lot of help, and also we make the more strong and the best friendships. But on the other side, there is a lot of jealousy, and people who are jealous often build like an unhealthy and toxic competition, because for me a healthy competition it's only when it is with myself. So people who build a toxic competition, they will just try to bring you down and drag you down and make you think that you're bad, but you're not, and it's really important to know our value. Right now, I want to tell you about the professional exits, like after doing the high school. So, some people chose when they have a professional course to don't take a bachelor and don't go to university. And it's perfectly fine because there are still lots of things that you can do even without a bachelor. And some of those things are, for instance, having your own bands, your own groups, teaching private lessons because you'll have the knowledge for that once you finish a professional course, playing in events such as weddings, birthday parties, dinners, stuff like that, and working with music editors because, again, if you have a professional course, you have a high level and you are a good musician. So yeah. And then when you will take a bachelor or a master's, there are also lots of other options, such as being an instrumentist or a musician. Being a teacher, obviously this will require you the masters, to do a master in teaching. Doing like the analysis part, being on the branch of history and paleontology related to music. Music therapy is also growing a lot. Musicology, art composition are all branches and areas that have lots of exits, basically. And right now, to finish, I want to tell you about the work market. So, right now I will only tell you about jobs for instrumentists because it's what I want to do, so I know more about it, and all the other bachelors and all the other courses, I think they are pretty intuitive from their names. So, when you play an instrument and you are a musician, let's say it like that, you can play with orchestras and you can teach in schools, academies, conservatories, everything. You can also work with opera studios, not only for the singers but for all of the other instruments. And unfortunately, here in Portugal, we only have one theater where it's done opera regularly, which is São Carlos. And you can also have your own music groups, or doing like just solo concerts with several organizations. And there are also lots of musicians who write magazines and articles about researches in music and everything like that. So, as you can see, there are lots of things that you can do if you're a musician. And not only when it comes to playing your instrument, but all the bachelors I talked before. So the most important thing is really for you to follow your dreams. I really believe in this, and not only related to music. If you have a dream and if that's what you really like and want to do, I'll just tell you, go for it because it's worth it. And yeah, I think this is basically it. I hope you're more informed about music. If there is anything that I can help you with, just send me a text on Studygram or leave it in the comments because I'll be really glad to answer you. Hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next one. Bye, Zings!